colors. Thank you so much I apologize if I butcher you guys' names. I'm going to try, all right? So we got Marina Pullman and Cody Donald. Thank you so much for coming. I'd like to welcome the students, faculty, staff, and the veterans for joining us today on this celebration day of Veterans Day. Firstly, I would like to introduce our guest speaker, but a little bit, just to let you know. My name is Jake Yost. I'm the president of the Student Veterans Club here at Fort Lewis College. I was a hospital corpsman 3rd class working with 3rd Assault Amphibian Battalion, 3rd Marine Division. I'd like to introduce Dr. Byron Dare. He was a professor of political science from 1984 to 2010. He won the Alice Admire Outstanding Teaching Award. He had numerous terms as the department chair and the president of the faculty. He is also a member of the United States Army from 1967 to 1969, the 196th Light Infantry Brigade. Please welcome Dr. Byron Dare.
Thanks, Jake. My bio suggests that I should be the one to try and draw a connection between various groups in our society today that generally don't talk to each other very much. I hope then that I can draw this connection and hope we can shed light on how we might narrow the cultural divide between society and the military in the United States and enhance the understanding of veterans in our midst. The first group consists of young students and no doubt many instructors and staff members who've had limited contact with the military or veterans and minimal interest in events like this. They often view veterans in stereotypical images and consider the community as a monolith with a common worldview. Coming here today is possibly by accident, and certainly not a high priority on the list of studying, working, getting in those last fall runs on the trails or the river, or planning this weekend's parties. The second group with us today consists of veterans who are honorably discharged. This is also a diverse group. Some never left the United States, and if they did, their jobs did not require them killing other human beings or putting their closest friends' remains in a poncho. Many of you learned skills valuable to society following your discharge, and most were given enormous responsibility at a very young age. Others came back from the belly of the beast, wondering about the very concept of humanity and how they managed to survive. I'll attempt to draw these two groups together, at least for a while, by first addressing the history of this event, followed by some of the comments regarding civil-military relations in the United States today. There's often some confusion regarding Veterans Day and Memorial Day. The casual observer might well conclude that Memorial Day is devoted to beer sales, while Veterans Day is a time to take advantage of the many furniture and mattress sales. Thanks, Michael Long, for that. And that's a sad irony considering the number of homeless vets in our society today. Veterans Day honors everyone who served. It originated with the ceasefire that ended World War I in 1918, when the battered but naive generation celebrated the armistice of the war to end all wars on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Memorial Day, which is devoted to honoring the dead, is in late May, when many Fort Lewis students have already left campus. It has therefore always seemed to me that at Fort Lewis, Veterans Day observations tend to combine with the spirit and intent of both Veterans and Memorial Day, which can create some confusion as we honor living veterans as well as memorialize the dead and missing. This confusion goes even deeper and contributes to some of the great divides in our society. The elimination of the draft in 1973 resulted in an all-volunteer force that has become removed from the day-to-day lives of the public at large. As military analyst Jason Dempsey has noted, the growing gap between Americans and the military has been the primary concern of the post-9/11 era, as the United States has engaged in the longest period of sustained conflict in its history, but has done so on the backs of a very small proportion of the population. This distance between the military and the people it serves has fueled the public's ignorance about how the military functions. Dempsey goes on to note that since 9/11, more than 2.8 million American service members have been deployed to war zones, with over 5.2 million individual deployments. For we Vietnam veterans, we have a very difficult time wrapping our brains around that. I guarantee you, if someone had tried to get me to go back, they would have had to drug me in. Yeah. Today's active duty force represents only 0.4% of the population. By comparison, the already declining pool of veterans from 20th century conflicts sits at 7% of the total population. The cultural divide is clear when we realize that only 33% of those under 30 years of age have a direct tie to a service member, compared to 60% at the end of the Cold War. To the vets, my brothers and sisters, I salute your service. Whatever your branch or MOS, you sacrificed your personal comfort and committed to something larger than yourselves. Today is a day to transcend the color of your uniform and your internal divisions. Forget terms like REMF, RAMP, POG, and FOBIT, if only for today, and remember instead that you bring a wealth of experience to this campus that I hope faculty, staff, and administrators recognize and honor. As I mentioned, I am in awe of your multiple deployments and the military's slow but steady march toward gender equality. Vietnam veterans walked point in the battle for better treatment that made your transition to civilian life smoother than ours. The VA labyrinth is still complex, but the institution is much more responsive than it was in 1969, especially in the realm of mental health care. If you need support, don't hesitate to ask. Veteran service officers throughout the country Rich Leader is one of the best, if not the best, standing here holding somebody's flag. They're here to assist you, and numerous organizations, such as Student Veterans of America, have emerged to serve veterans. Contributing to them is also a way for civilians who want to do more than just say thank you for your service to contribute to our cause. Currently, 1.3 million of our brothers and sisters are deployed in 150 countries on this planet, and they'll need us when they come home. The financial and emotional costs of our military commitments will continue to impact us and future generations far into the future, and we must never forget how easy it is to get into the fight, but how hard it is to get out. Many vets from my generation have grappled with the dilemma of opposing wars that we have determined are counterproductive, stupid, or unjust without insulting those who have done the fighting. I personally embrace the IVAW slogan, honor the warrior, not the war. We may disagree on the last part, but the first part offers another bridge to link our two groups and shrink the gap in civil-military relations in this society. If I could write the script, this generation of veterans, student veterans, would be the leaders in educating the public about the horrors of violence, both at home and abroad, as well as the limits of military power, leading us toward greater peace and coexistence. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dare. Next, we would like to have a reading of Flanders Field by John McCrae, by our former secretary of the Veterans Club and also an alum here at Fort Lewis. Please welcome Meg Vanass.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. The pin that Fort Lewis came up with today says, all gave some and some gave all, and it's around a red poppy. And the red poppy comes from, or the symbol of the red poppy comes from this poem, In Flanders Field. It was written during the First World War by a Canadian doctor, a physician who was also a soldier. He was inspired to write the poem on May 3rd, 1915, after he presided over the funeral of a friend of his and a fellow soldier. It is one of the most popular and most quoted poems from the war. Its references to the red poppies that grew over the graves of fallen soldiers resulted in the remembrance poppy becoming one of the world's most recognized memorial symbols for soldiers who have died in conflict. In Flanders fields, the poppies glow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place. And in the sky, the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard among the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow. We loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Field. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you, from failing hands, we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us, who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Field. Thank you.
Thank you, Meg. I'd also like to give a special thank you to the VFW Post 4031 for doing our color guard for us today. Thank you so much. At this moment, I'd like to have a moment of silence to remember those who have fallen.